realize you're getting a lot of questions about using ebooks, for instance. Well, you want to create something that you can use again and again. You want to have to recreate the wheel every time. So it might be a simple handout with screenshots. It might be a quick recording that you would do. Then you're going to have the ability, of course, to house those. It might be in a LibGuide. It might be on your web page where you have a link to tutorials, for instance. And when you have those questions, whether it's your distance learner or it's face-to-face, you'll be able to point your users to this. Here, use this. This is going to help you understand that, how to use this resource, how to use that ebook. We also think in terms of instruction for us in a little bit bigger goals. So it might be a series of tutorials that perhaps you want to create. It might be something about citation and you're going to create several tutorials. Or maybe you want to create tutorials on your most used databases. Or it might even be a full information literacy course. Now, do any of you actually have a 4-credit information literacy course at your institutions? Lucky you! You too. Don't often see that. We do not at Northeast Lakeview. However, we've found a workaround. We do have a complete information literacy course, and it's actually linked in registration to a core English course, a freshman composition class. We're fortunate to have a very good relationship with our English faculty. So when students earn grades in our information literacy course, the grades are actually used in their English 1301 composition course. So that's kind of how we work around that 4-credit part. Because grades, as we know, are important to students. That's usually what motivates them, right? So all of these things that you create, you could actually use in both areas. So if you started out by creating a quick tutorial on ebooks, but then maybe you evolved into having a information literacy tutorial, you could use that tutorial that you created for ebooks in your information literacy course. So it's about time management as well, too. You want to use your time well, not recreate things every time. So let's talk a little bit about developing instructional materials. Well, in reality, what happens is we usually don't have the time to plan. We like to think that we do, but sometimes you have to just get it out there quickly. No matter what, though, you want to try to follow these sorts of principles as you're developing things. We're going to talk about them in a little bit more detail, but essentially, you got a needs assessment. Who's this for? Why are you creating it? What are you going to put in there? What's your content? How you're going to deliver it. And if you're talking about distance learning, that's certainly an integral part of that. And obviously, you always want to try to build in the time to evaluate and revise your material. It's never finished. It's always a work in progress. Even when you think you've got it perfect, you'll find a way that you can make it better. So here's just a few of the design models that we've become familiar with. Some of them you may recognize. Now, we actually do have these and some others linked on the LibGuide, and we'll take a quick look at that. I don't think you have to memorize these, but I think it's important to understand the principles behind them. There's a lot of similarities, and there's some differences, but they will provide you a framework, some sort of a guiding point of how you're going to develop this information, step by step. And so using those universal design principles and applying some of the things from these models will help you produce the type of information, instructional materials that you're really looking for. So one of the first things you want to do is consider your audience. Who am I creating this for? Now, most of the time, we don't have the opportunity to really survey our users for their prior knowledge. We have to make some assumptions. Well, obviously, if you're creating something for your freshman composition students, it's going to be different than if you're working with a graduate level engineering class. What they need and what they know is probably different, what they're bringing into this. But you also have to figure out, well, what do they need to know? Now, it might be for a particular class. Okay? You're working with a professor. You've got to come up with some sort of goals to meet his or her assignment. So you're going to use those goals as well as your expertise to meet all of those needs. And if you're talking about distance learning, you have to consider technology. How comfortable with technology are they? Well, we'd like to think that our distance learners are pretty comfortable with technology, but that isn't always the case. So a lot of times when we're building these technological advances, we've got to sort of, I don't know, think about our middle users. We're going to have some that are way out there. We're going to have some that are, you're going to have to hold their hands a little bit. So you don't want to create anything that's just so advanced that they walk away from whatever